Okay, guys, hi, welcome back. This is the bit on the activity-based costing bit where it now says that we have been able to break down those overheads that we talked about earlier on. I'm using Excel here just because I think this is slightly more efficient. And you can see that that's the total over there, right there, the 195. 270 we talked about earlier on. But now we're saying we can actually break this down. We can break up these costs. So as opposed to where I was saying that this 195 was being driven by labor, I'm telling you that I can actually tell you what's driving them. So for example, the first one is machine setup costs. And I'm telling you that machine setup costs, for example, it's being driven by what we refer to as cost drivers. So we have delivery, procurement, running, and machine setup. So what you have here is you have a list of sort of what we refer to as drivers, right? And we have here said drivers. And in this scenario here, we have, let's look at this first one, delivery costs. So we have delivery costs of 54,320. I'm telling you that widgets used 48 deliveries, cruettes 30, and gizzards 62. So what I'm saying is that what I should do is if I can now allocate this delivery cost to each of these based on the number that they have used. So for example, if you said to me, well, Oyen, how much in terms of deliveries has widgets used? Well, what I have to first of all do, as you can imagine, is to add all these first together. Right? So that's the total. So what I want to do is I then sort of want to get what percentage, if you like, of this has widgets used, and it's 48. So widgets have used 48, if you like, out of 140 times this. So for example, for widgets, it'll be 48 divided by this thing, 140. Times 2650, and that gives you this kind of, well, we can always bring that to a decimal, and the same thing we will have here is equal to 30 divided by this thing, use in brackets, use this, and then we have that, and I would have exactly the same thing. I would have this divided by this thing multiplied by 26,050. So now I have, if you like, I've split this up. This is now gone. I've split this up, and then I can do the same thing for this. 66,400 machine running costs. Let me do procurement costs because that's just because I can at least argue that my procurement costs are driven by what we call purchase orders. So procurement is just ordering costs. 48,000. What do I do? Well, I know what the total of all of them are in terms of all the orders. So I need to now sort of split that cost into the ratio of that. And exactly the same thing. What am I going to do here? I will say, well, this must be this divided by this thing. Times the procurement costs, which is that. Then I have this, and then I say, well, this divided by this thing again. Times procurement costs, 48,000. Good. And then I have this. So 42 divided by 94. Yes. And multiply that by your procurement costs. 48,000, and you're there. You can see that if you add this across, if I just check this, these will add up. I mean, of course, as you can imagine. Let me just do that very quickly. If I add this up right here, and I do all this up. That's 26,550, right? That's 26,550 there. If I do the same thing for the very bottom column, the next column, that's the 48,000. That's the procurement cost. All right, let me just move this a little. Let me just move this down a little. Right, and then let me now do machine setup costs. So machine setup costs, I'm saying that setup costs are to do with production runs. So again, the same thing. I find the total here, which is really this plus this plus this. And you do exactly the same thing for production runs that I've just done for delivery costs and procurement. Machine setup is slightly, just a little bit complicated, but it's not. It's the question here is I need to get the total number of machine hours. Well, it says that it's 0.5 per unit, and I know we were doing 15,000 units, remember? So I need to first of all find the total of machine hours. So technically, that's what I first of all need to do. So what I'll do is I'll do that here. I mean, this is a video, so it's not in order per se, but you can just sort of follow it. So I'm going to do the widgets, which is the 0.5 times the number of units. I believe that was 15,000. So that's my total number of machine hours for widgets. I'll just put widgets here. Then the next thing, I believe, were cruets, and that was 0.7 times, I think it was 1,200. Let's just see quickly. It just takes a while to load, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Let's see how many units we had here. Yes, 12. I think I see that. 12,000 and 18,000. So let's go back. Times 12,000. And then finally for gizzards, this times 18,000. So now I know what my total number of hours are. So I have the total number of hours. Here we are, 32,100. So I'm saying that 32,100 hours have generated machine running costs, and I literally want to split to this 66,400 in the ratio of this to this to this. So for the first one, for widgets, it's this 7,500, of course, divided by this, which is the total, and I'm going to multiply that by the total machine running cost, 66,400. Okay, great. So then, what I then need you to, of course, I've done machine, and you need to do exactly the same thing. Follow exactly the same process. Watch this and follow exactly the same process. Then what you now need to do is, once you've put in the machine setup costs based on the same process like we did delivery and procurement, you need to add all of them together, pretty much, and divide by 15,000, because 15,000 units, right? Because that's the total overhead for 15,000. You want what the overhead is per unit. And let's just assume, I'm just going to assume that the last one that we had to deal with was 10,000. So if I add all these together, I will get at the bottom here 46,872. You can see it. So let me pretend my total overhead for widgets now 46,872. I will divide this figure by 15,000 because I'm trying to find what the overhead is per unit. I'm trying to get all my costs into a unit. By 15,000, and it tells me it's £3.12. That's fine. So now again, I just go back to the top, and I know what I know what this is. I know what the material costs are. I know what the labor costs are. All I have to now do is add in the £3.12, and I have found my full cost per widget. Okay, great stuff. So good luck with that. Watch this video, and hopefully by me doing widgets and you following this carefully, because you can see I haven't done everything, but I've shown you how to get there. I've completed an example for widget, bar you just kind of doing machine setup yourself based on the same principle as procurement and delivery. And let me see what you have. Great stuff. Thank you.